or if we did, at least with eyes
Welcome
wide
to the
open.
Monday, October 9th meeting of the Administration and Public Works Committee. I am filling in for Councilmember Burns as chair. I call the meeting, or may we have a roll call?
Councilmember Reed,
Here.
Councilmember Kelly,
Recording in progress.
Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Harris,
Present.
Councilmember Nusma,
Here.
Councilmember Burns.
Given that we have a quorum, I call this meeting to order. Our first order of business is approval of our minutes from September 26th.
I move for the acceptance of September 26, 2023 minutes.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Nusma. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That brings us to public comment. We have no one signed up in person, and Mike Vasilko online. Mr. Vasilko, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. It's not working for some reason. So you got my video shut off, but that's all right.
Okay.
So item A5, A6, and A11. A5, so this is a sole source approval for action, $90,000 for West Janney. I like West Janney, but they're not the only ones out there. And since they've excluded MBE, WBE participation, plus there are other firms out there, a group like CTL Group, who Evanston has used before. At least you should get a competitive price for this. It doesn't make sense to just award it to West Janney just because we like West Janney. We should get a better price or try to get a better price. A6, I don't understand why an additional change order for Smith Group is being asked to be approved. You know, they're getting paid $440,000. This would bump them up to $460,000. It's kind of nickel and diming at this point because council members asked a few questions and somehow they interpreted that as they deserve more money. I would push back on that. But the big one is the water rate increased for 17.5%. Well, where's that coming from? I mean, this item needs to go back to the Budget and Finance Committee. I remember a conversation they had or started to have, confusing, superficial discussion about the water rate, potential water rate increases to cover things like lead pipes. But the lead pipe work doesn't start until 2027 and it goes through 2047. If I'm lucky, I won't be around that. So I won't have to pay that, but it shouldn't come up now for increases. I heard something about bonds in 2024 to pay for debt.
Mr. Vasilko.
Increased reserve. Anyway, this item, plus there's surpluses. Where are all the surpluses that we keep asking for? Over $50 million, I heard Jack Mortel quoting something like $150 million in surpluses. Surpluses should be exhausted before you impose new taxes and fees. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasilko. Seeing no one else for public comment, we will continue on with our agenda. That brings us to the items for consideration. Let's move this as a consent and we'll take things off that folks don't want to.
Let's see, items A5, A6, and do we need to, is A9, since that's for intro and action?
It's kind of misleading here. It's always for action at this committee.
Right, okay, so that's just how it would be treated
Yeah.
at council, okay. Then not that one. A11?
Okay.
Right.
Anything else? All right. This was not originally listed as a consent agenda, but if I can have a motion for items A1, A2, A3, A4, A7, A8, and A9. As well, and A10, thank you.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember,
11 and 12 as well.
Yes. No, that was
No.
pulled off.
Oh, wait, 12.
12, okay.
So go back
As well
and
as 12.
repeat it.
So to,
Read.
yeah, yep. So we're going to move items A1, A2, A3, A4, A7, A8, A10,
8-9.
A9, and A12.
So moved.
Moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember
Second.
Nusma. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. So that brings us to item A5. May I have a motion?
I move to adopt, or to hear, A5, approval of contract with Weiss, Janney, Elstner Associations.
Moved by Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Nusma. Any discussion? Councilmember Kelly.
Yeah, so I would, if we could, is it possible to move, it's the same question for item A5 and A6. And we discussed this earlier about, since we haven't actually approved the 2023 bond, I just want clarification that this is approval for the contract, but not for the funding, just to be clear. So, I'm prepared to vote to approve the contracts, since we have not yet actually,
I'll let you answer, but approving the contract is approving the money. It's a contract.
it's
saying
approving
that
but not the funding source necessarily.
I'll let you take it over.
Members of the committee, my name is Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. So you are approving the contract and a funding source based on a bond resolution that you approved in earlier this year. However, you have the ability to designate as a whole an alternate funding source for the bond resolution. If you don't designate another funding source for what is classified in the budget as 2023 bonds, then it will be bonds. If you change the funding source, then it will be something else. But in terms of tracking it through from an adopted budget to contracts that are approved as they were funded in the adopted budget to actually how we pay for things, it's all tracked to a business unit. So it's still, we haven't sold a bond yet. It's still up for.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Choose an alternate funding source.
Because I know last year, and I can't recall which ones, but I know there were a couple of items that we said to pay for that were originally scheduled through a bond, but we directed staff to take it from surplus. So the same way here, I just want some assurance that voting for these contracts, since we haven't had a TEFRA hearing or we haven't actually approved a bond, that we can approve an alternate source of funding. This isn't locking us into a bond that we haven't yet approved. I think it's a little bit misleading. I guess I'd rather just say that
We've approved the bond, we just haven't issued the bond.
no, we haven't approved,
You
it's just a
approved-
resolution.
You approved that they could be funded with bond funds. You have not actually issued a bond to reimburse the capital fund.
And
Or
issuing
approve the
that bond
bond.
will require an affirmative vote of council.
It would require a separate affirmative vote of council.
Okay, so then just to clarify then, this is a vote to approve the contract.
Correct. but
Funding,
it
we
is-
haven't approved a bond per se, so.
Correct. This is not approving a bond. This is simply approving that we will pay $200,000 or $161,000 from somewhere.
With the funding to be determined, since we haven't issued the bond. Okay,
Well, the funding is,
we haven't issued a bond.
we haven't issued a bond, yes,
approved it,
okay.
and 23 is coming close to an end, so. Okay, thank you.
all those in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That brings us to item A6, approval of change order number 4 for the agreement with Smith Group Incorporated for the Evanston shoreline repairs. This is RFQ 2145.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Councilmember Harris, seconded by Councilmember Nusma. Any discussion? Councilmember Kelly.
It was the same concern.
Okay. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That brings us to item A11.
11.
Thank you. This is ordinance 97-023, amending City Code 71217, charges, rates, fees, and penalties. Is there a motion?
So move.
Moved by Councilmember
Second.
Nusma, seconded by Councilmember Harris. Is there any discussion on this? Councilmember Kelly.
Unless Mr. King would like to present first, or, no, okay. Is there an overall like, what's the total estimated amount that we would, of increase to the budget? Projected increase based on a 17.5% rate increase? And I apologize if I missed it.
Chair Burns, members of the committee, Darrell King, Water Production Bureau Chief. And your question is how much the increase would be to the budget in terms of revenue?
Correct.
I think, I don't have the exact number, but I think it's around 11 million, 11.1 million, something like that in that neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. And then my other question is with regard to, I know it says here, the idea is to increase the reserve above and beyond the 16.6%, but I don't see, in here, I don't see like how much. So we're increasing, that's one of the rationales given for this increase, is to have, in addition to the 16.6, which is I think 5.8 million, additional reserve money.
So-
When it's, let's see.
Now, are you done with your question?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so we're increasing it from $4 million to $5.8 million as that cash, that minimum reserve in the water fund. So it's going from 4 to 5.8.
Okay, so it says maintain a minimum cash balance of 5.8, which is based on the adopted budget fund policy of 16.6. And then it says, in addition, a sufficient reserve shall be maintained. That's why it looked like it was on top of, it looked like 16.6 is 5.8.
It's
My-
5.8.
Okay, but then it says, in addition, a sufficient reserve shall be maintained. Is the idea then to budget funds over and above the 16.6 through this increase,
Maybe it was a typo. It's the 5.8 million.
which is the 16.6?
Correct. Correct. It's an excerpt from the budget, the fund policy for the water fund.
Okay. Okay. I feel like I still have, and then it says the lead replacement starts in '27, and it looks like the bulk of this is intended, it says for the lead replacement, which wouldn't begin for 3 years. So, why would we have such an enormous increase now?
So our goal is to, by state mandate, is to start the 500 replacements in 2027. But staff is ramping up to begin planning for 500 replacements starting as early as 2024. Also, we have to generate revenue in order to start those replacements and to do those projects as well. And so that's another reason why we're starting these rate increases now, so that we can prepare to replace 500 services a year, starting as early as next year, as well as gearing up to replace 3.2 miles of water main, which we're increasing that from 1.5 miles to 3.2 miles, so we're doubling that. So we have to prepare for those types of activities.
Thank you. So we had this it was brought to Finance and Budget, but we ran out of time on this conversation, so we weren't able to actually make a recommendation out of Finance and Budget. I feel like this is such large sums of money, some part of our budget, that this really should be, recommended or not by recommended through the Finance and Budget Committee. So I would like to see this go back just for a final, so that we can discuss it and not, with time, and make a recommendation.
Thank you, Councilmember Kelly. Councilmember Nusma.
Thank you, Chair Reed. I'm ready to move forward with this, with the understanding that nobody likes to increase rates on anything. But given the circumstances, I think this is the right financial move in the long-term best interest of the city. Number one, we have the unfunded mandate of the state requirement to do the lead service line replacement. That's going to cost us, and that money isn't coming from anywhere else. Number two, it really does make sense to replace more of our water mains on a regular basis than we have been. And that will be in the long-term financial best interests of the city, as well as in the best interests of water customers in terms of system reliability. Inflation is not our friend, so that's another factor here. And we haven't increased water rates significantly in the last few years. So looks like Director King wants to weigh in on that one.
Yeah, so since, I want to say 2015, 2016, we've had revenue neutral rate changes. So if the water rate was raised, the sewer rate would be decreased, and it would just be revenue neutral to the user. And this year is actually the first time we implemented a rate increase and didn't decrease the sewer rate, and that was because the lead service line workforce development, we're hiring 7 new employees. We had to increase the water rate a total of 9%, 5% this year, and 4% next year. And so this was the first time that we've had that impact since about 2015, 2016.
Right, and our workload is now getting greater because of the lead service lines, because we're expanding the routine maintenance in terms of the number of miles of water main replaced. Costs are increasing as well, but even after this proposed increase, the water rate would still be the 3rd lowest in the Chicago area. And even if we also include the sewer rate, as looking at it as a combined rate, we're still in the 2nd tier, like lower middle range of Chicagoland communities. So I'm comfortable moving forward with this. And this, just to clarify, we're only approving the rate for the next year.
That's correct. This is a year-to-year discussion. Before, I showed you all a 10-year projection, but it's year-to-year.
Right. And so market forces might change by this time next year, and maybe we'll need to increase a little bit more, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll be able to hold steady. Well, the point is, we're not approving a 10-year
No.
Proposal here. It's a year-to-year.
Correct.
Okay. And we follow, are there industry guidelines that, kind of inform the water industry as to how frequently we should be reassessing our rates?
Correct. We reassess our rates annually, and that's based on best practices by the American Water Works Association's M1 manual for establishing rates.
Okay. Thanks. I'm comfortable moving forward.
Thank you. Councilmember Harris, are you interested in referring this to Finance and Budget? No. Councilmember Keller?
Just one more question. When we passed the 5/5 TIF, part of the expenses to be covered included lead pipes. So what funding is coming from that for lead pipe?
I think that might not be, I don't know if
Right,
is that
right.
Yeah, I don't think that's a Darrell King question, but also I would, just personally, I think if we're replacing lead pipes throughout the city, we shouldn't put that on the 5/5 TIF to fund.
Yeah, this is just what was stated I'm not advocating for that, but that is what was described as part of what would be covered.
And I guess if you're not advocating for it, what is?
I'm asking about it. I want to know if some of it's being covered. That was what was said, so I just.
Ms. Biggs, thank you.
Currently, the 5/5 TIF is not generating adequate revenue to support any capital improvement. However, we have used funding from the West Evanston TIF to offset some of the water main costs and lead service line replacements.
And past TIF or
That is
current.
actually, some of that work is occurring this year in 2023, so it's basically passed because it was just done. And then we're having a pilot project that that has several different funding sources, and we've been waiting for the funding that would come from the state of Illinois to be released, but that would also utilize funding from the from the West Evanston TIF.
We'll have to look into that, because
Councilmember Nusma.
What funding are we receiving, if any, to help us with the lead service line replacements?
So $1 million from the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. We haven't received it yet.
That's for just the for the 8th Ward, correct?
That one is for a pilot area for low to moderate income
Okay.
areas.
And just a one-time, not $1 million a year.
It's just one time. It's just one time.
Out of a project with a total cost of 200 plus 300 million.
We're thinking after the 23-year period is up, it'll be 200. It could be 200 plus million.
Yeah.
Well,
And
sorry.
is there any other state funding or federal funding available out of the IRA Act or anything?
So we have procured the services of a consultant to help us to maximize our opportunities to receive additional grant funding if that becomes available. Again, that's not guaranteed, and there's rumors about how much a community could get if they qualify in the area of maybe $4 million. And if Evanston was to get that, that could be it, or more could come later. But right now, we have the $1 million from Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, and that's all we know of at this
Just point of information, there is another, and if this isn't the $1 million that we worked with Senator Mike Simmons to get, there's also $1 million for a portion of the 8th Ward to receive lead pipe replacement.
I'm speaking of the $1 million for Senator Simmons.
Okay, then that's only dedicated to South Evanston, to a portion of the 8th Ward.
And so the 10-year projection that we saw at Finance and Budget assumes we don't get any additional outside sources of revenue. That's kind of like the worst-case scenario.
Correct.
So if we do get some money at some point that materializes from somewhere, we are adjusting our water rates on an annual basis.
Correct. We review it every year, and if
So
that
we
happened, if
would
we got $4 million, we would adjust it.
Right, and so, if that were to hypothetically happen, we would not have to do an increase in 2027, maybe.
Correct. It'll be looked at year to year.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Kelly?
So I think I understood, this year we transferred, is it 4 million to the general fund from the water fund? I know last year it was 4 million, it was 4 million this year also.
Approximately.
Okay, and that's what would be planned for the 2024 budget also, about 4 million transfer to the general fund?
Yeah, I think for 24, it may be 4.2 or something in that neighborhood.
Okay. So if that weren't transferred, I'd want to know what kind of an increase we'd be looking at if we didn't transfer that money to the general fund. I don't expect you to answer that, but I would be interested in seeing how that would impact rates.
Point of order, just as a reminder, that funding transfer is to cover the cost of staff that are working in the water department. Overhead. And so that would be absorbed by the general fund and require.
I would still like to see it. I'm not saying here and now, but I would like to see that. I mean, I know it's generally a big, there's a lot of, from the NRDC and others, that really advocate heavily against transferring money out of your water funds, period. You budget for salaries and everything else in your departments, but there's a lot of advocacy against transferring funds out. So that's all. So about 4.1 million next year. Okay,
4.2.
thank you. I guess ultimately I feel I still have a lot of questions, and I would like to see the Finance and Budget Committee have a chance to vet this and make a recommendation. So I don't think there's any appetite here on this committee to second that, to refer this to Finance and Budget. No? Okay.
Thank you. I will make a few brief comments, and then we're almost at time for this committee. I want to, well, actually, first question is, are you familiar with the guidance that we should not make transfers out of the water fund to other funds from the NRDC, correct, Councilmember Kelly?
I am not.
I'm happy to share that.
Yes, I would be interested to see that. And then, do we keep track of, is there a line item in the budget that where all water main replacements are allocated to, or is that generally within the budget? Like, can I see exactly how much we are spending annually on water main replacements?
Yeah, I can provide a breakdown.
Am I able to look at a line item on the budget and say, this is what the city of Evanston is spending on water main replacements?
There's a section in the capital program, it's a subsection under the first large section, streets, water main and sewer, that specifically deals with water main and includes the information on lead service line replacements as part of the water main program.
I would be really interested in us, to Councilmember Kelly's point, I do think we need to do a better job of ensuring that, that we are that the taxpayers, or the ratepayers, I should say in this case, are getting, what we told them they're going to be getting, which is more water main replacements, more lead pipe replacements. And so I'd be really interested in us creating a, I don't know what the code, Hitesh would be better at this, but maybe I know that we have the different code lines, a line item essentially in the budget that, an account that we would charge all water main replacements and all lead pipe replacements to. So there's a clear accounting of what we are spending annually on that. And just so we can, as we're moving forward, make sure that with the new rate that we are getting, that it is actually being dedicated to where we anticipated it being dedicated to. With that, we are at time. With no further.
We need to vote.
Yeah, no, I know. I was just going to end my comments because we're at time. So with that, I will move.
Introduction.
It's going to go straight to council. So with no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Any abstentions? The ayes have it. That brings us to the end of our, thank you, Mr. King. That brings us to the end of our agenda. P&D will start now. We'll start on time.